Marhaba and welcome to Free Palestine Pod, the podcast. I'm Lama Bazzari.
And I'm Lina Hadi. Each week, we will bring you in-depth commentary from Palestine.
Let's talk Palestine. We're honored to have Dr. Aida Essaid, Director General of Taawon Welfare Association, with us today to discuss Taawon's Gaza relief efforts. Before we start, be sure to visit www.taawon.org to support their crucial Gaza relief efforts. Welcome to Free Palestine Pod, Dr. Aida, and in light of the current humanitarian disaster unfolding before our eyes, what are the most pressing needs that Taawon is addressing right now?
Thank you, Lama. It's great to be here, even with these difficult circumstances. Thank you for giving us the chance to shed light on what our team is doing on the ground. So on October 9th, we started our Gaza appeal, Gaza under attack. And right away, we started with the immediate humanitarian needs. So we're focusing on food, water, hygiene kits, anything that we can find and distribute to those in the Gaza Strip. We were able to, our team has experience, unfortunately, this, it's not the first time it's happened where they had to act quickly. They were able to purchase within the first few days 17,000 liters of fuel and to distribute that to hospitals and ambulances. But right now, I would say the focus is on food, water, and basic needs.
Dr. Aida, if you could please share with our audience the history of the Welfare Association and a little bit about their background, please, that would be wonderful.
Of course. So the Welfare Association, Taawon, was registered in Geneva in 1983. And it was founded by our members, the founding members, to basically which set off the mission of Taawon, investing in the Palestinian people, supporting the steadfastness of the Palestinian people, and that mission has never changed. We were registered in Geneva. I am based in the office in Amman, and we have offices in Ramallah, in Jerusalem, in Gaza, and in Beirut, where we also support the Palestinian refugee communities in Lebanon. Over the last 40 years, we're actually celebrating 40 years of Taawon this year. And we've invested $899 million in the Palestinian people over these last 40 years in education and culture and cultural heritage, various programs, all for the Palestinian people. Of course, a big part of that has always been Gaza. So we've focused on development programs, and we still do, but we've always kept that humanitarian component for when it's absolutely needed, such as in cases like these.
How large is your team currently on the ground in Gaza, and are you able to communicate with them?
Sure. So our team, we have 4 people on the ground in Gaza. Now, but don't let the size fool you, because if anything, even before we opened an office in Gaza, we started working in Gaza in 1983, but we didn't open an office in Gaza until 1993. But the idea is Taawon works with its partners, and being part of a large civil society organization network, we work with our partners on the ground. And so that's what we're doing now. I mean, Taawon, if anything, we pride ourselves that we are, a part of civil society Palestinian civil society, and in Gaza, that just as it does in all of our other locations, it includes a large network of partner organizations whom we've been working with on the ground in terms of development programs, as well as under these circumstances, when we go into humanitarian aid mode. So we have our partners who we are able to communicate with. Of course, on Friday we lost communication, as did the whole world with Gaza. And it was very frightening. I mean, it was we couldn't communicate with them until early this morning, around 5 or 6 a.m., when we finally heard from them. Internet access is very difficult. We rely on text messages, on various apps, but it's difficult to. We coordinate with our various offices, so they're on the ground telling us, what they're doing and relying on us in Amman and Ramallah to help coordinate with the other partners there as well.
So, Aida, being quite familiar myself with the founding fathers of the Welfare Association, and knowing that your biggest challenge is not, in fact, raising funds, but I imagine it's actually dealing with the Israeli occupation. And in the case of Gaza, dealing really with an open concentration camp that has 2.3 million Palestinian inhabitants. I mean, that must be the hardest part of everything that you guys do on the ground, I imagine.
Yes and no. I think, when it comes to fundraising, I would say that, there's never enough support. Let me just say that we can always, use more to do more. There is no doubt about that. But in regards to, what I think makes Taawon, what has, kept Taawon working over the last 40 years is the position we have taken. We are not affiliated with any political parties. We are not a faith-based organization. We, if anything, are known for our credibility on the ground. We have just the same way we are there to support the steadfastness of the Palestinian people. The Palestinian people see us as a constant in Palestinian civil society, and I think this is what has helped us: the partnerships, the transparency in what we do and how we do it. From the second a donation reaches us, to that action on the ground. It's what makes it possible for us to still be doing all of this.
So you don't have any complications with the Israeli occupation or access into Gaza? Is that what you're saying? I mean, that's great, but how is that? I would wonder. Yeah, I'm just wondering, the most difficult part of the task, let's say, of having an association, the Welfare Association in particular, with all your various different missions within the welfare, I would imagine that Gaza might be a bit complicated as far as getting any sort of aid or even programs or anything for that matter. But especially in a time of crisis, getting aid, because from what we understand from other people on the ground, and especially the UN sources, is that aid is not moving into Gaza nearly fast enough. So
that is absolutely correct. The humanitarian corridor, is not open, and that definitely limits what can be done. But this is where Taawon's unique position comes in. So because we have our civil society network, the first thing what we do is activate. We mobilize that network. What we do is work with the suppliers on the ground in Gaza, and that's how we adapt. We have now been working with farmers in Gaza who usually export their vegetables fresh produce, and to sell outside. And what we're doing now is purchasing all of that and distributing it to the families. So we'll be distributing on a regular basis. We've made agreements with the farmers to do this. So on one side, supporting the farmers who usually would be selling their products, and on the other side, feeding families with fresh produce, who otherwise, even what little food is available in Gaza, it's all, the very canned and packaged and whatnot, as opposed to fresh produce. So just an example of what we do, in this type of situation.
And vis-a-vis new donations, how would this money be allocated to your Gaza relief efforts, considering the Rafah border is closed? And what are your short-term and long-term goals?
Excellent question. So in the short term, like I said, we're focusing on fuel for hospitals and ambulances. Right now, because the border is closed, that's not possible. We did what we could in the first few days of the attack. When it comes to food, drinking water, we're still able, wherever we can find clean drinking water. Last week, we were able to distribute 5,000 cubic meters of drinking water to families throughout the Gaza Strip, food parcels as well. And as I mentioned, the fresh produce from farmers. We were able to provide hospital beds and equipment to a few of the hospitals. And in the long term, I would say, and this is again based on our experience in Gaza. So, we've been doing appeals now for Gaza. I can tell you that in the last 10 years alone, in all of the appeals that we have done, we have raised $18 million just for Gaza humanitarian work. Now, aside from that, and this is now where we've already started for the long term, looking at scaling up and redesigning a development program for orphans. So for several years now, from previous Gaza attacks, we've been supporting orphans holistically through we had two programs called Mustaqbali and Wajd, which provided comprehensive care for the children who had lost either parent in the previous attacks. And we provide that care in terms of education, health, and economic empowerment until the age of 22. And we've helped, in each program, I would say, we've hundreds in the various services, but altogether, over a few, I'd say 3,000 to 4,000 orphans, almost 4,000 orphans between the two programs. And the idea is that we support them in terms of, when I say health, not just the typical medical and whatnot, but also when it comes to post-traumatic stress, psychosocial therapy, psychosocial services, for rehabilitation, education, as I said, until the age of 22, economic empowerment, not just of the individual orphan, but also of the household, so that, for example, the mother is able to, support her family. So this is what we had done with the Mustaqbali and Wajd programs, and now we've taken the decision that we need a new orphans program. So we're designing that and starting to fundraise for a fund for that new program, again, in partnership with civil society organizations in Gaza who provide the various services, also in line with our strategic directions for 2023 to 2025, where we focus on human capital of youth, of Palestinian youth. And so, we want to get to that point also with these orphans in Gaza, and not just think about them in the short term, but in the long term.
Do you have any updated figures on how many babies and children have been orphaned?
I mean, received the Ministry of Health's report on the deaths in Palestine, and we do have, the figures and their ages and so on. But how many are necessarily orphans right now? I mean, we don't have that, and I think it's too soon to tell because those numbers are still changing, if not daily, even hourly.
So how can people support this, or your orphanage campaign directly now?
So just to be clear, it's not for an orphanage, it's for a fund for orphans in order for us to provide this holistic care for them through our civil society partners. So we will, of course, anyone can donate to Taawon and say specifically for orphans, but this week we'll be launching a new fundraising campaign specifically for an Orphans Fund. And this is ongoing with our Gaza appeal for immediate emergency aid to Gaza.
So I think it would be great, Aida, if you could share both with Lema and myself, Creating Palestine and the Palestine Lobby, that information so that we can disseminate and help raise funds for that particular project, because we seem to have a lot of people that are interested in helping the orphans, that unfortunately have been created from this genocide. So we do have a lot of, calls for that. I imagine that you understand that there's a huge need for a call, amongst the Palestinians in diaspora to reach out and to help, especially in this need, in this crisis during this genocide. And it would be great if you could send a message to those people that are our viewers and that we work with around the world, so that we can encourage them to work with the Welfare Association. So, we're all ears.
Thank you. I think it goes without saying, everyone's role is to raise awareness about what is happening in Gaza. These attacks are by far the worst than anything we have ever seen in the past. Regarding what we are doing as Taawon, I would say, support those organizations on the ground able to act now. We need everyone's support. Every dollar counts. Make that financial contribution, spread the word. So that we can continue doing what we're doing, working with our partners to distribute that aid and to feed as many families as possible. And in the end, it's all supporting the Palestinian people. Like I said, it's coming from the Palestinian farmers. We've made it possible because also, as you mentioned, the Taawon is very proud of its diaspora members. We've made it possible to donate, in different parts of the world. We have a UK appeal with our sister entity, Welfare Association UK. In addition to the donate link on our site, as well as for those in the US for, US tax deductible donations. All of the links are there in our Gaza appeal, making it easier for anyone, wherever they are in the world, to make a donation.
Okay, wonderful. So we will be including that list on our show. And it's good to know that the Americans have an outlet, the people in the United Kingdom, especially those who are responsible, all these guys have an outlet and can get a tax deduction from these horrid governments at the moment. But I just want to encourage as much as I can everyone to get to not only to donate, but what about, does the Welfare Association have anything outside of donating time, maybe for students, maybe getting them to go and push in their even local chapters in their universities to raise funds? I'm not sure if you have anything like that, but the more people that we spread this out to, including Gen Z and even the Alpha Gen, it's better to get them implicated.
So sure, we have something called a series called Taawon Talks, where we bring together, different intellectuals, representatives from, our work in Palestine, who can speak about various topics. We're going to be having Taawon talks as much as possible with those on the ground in Gaza from, our members, our partners, so that they can shed light on what is happening. So I definitely invite everyone to participate in those, keeping in mind that such activities are very difficult now, to organize given the communication challenges that we're facing, having everyone cut off in Gaza. But we are still adamant about giving them a voice wherever possible, so that we can, so that people can hear. I mean, not just through us, the rest of the team, but directly from our team on the ground.
Thank you so much, Dr. Aida, for being here with us and your vital efforts and work. And we'll make sure that we get the word out and support your relief efforts as much as possible. Raise awareness.
Thank you.
And congratulations on all your success to date with the Welfare Association. I know you said you've only been with them for a year and a half, but congratulations on all the successes that your organization has had to date. Great work, and hope there are more and more Palestinians that will create similar organizations all around the world in an effort to help people. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And I mean, like I said, there's so many different ways to link to what we're doing. If you follow our social media platforms, you'll find that we're putting updates, pretty much daily on what we're doing on the ground. So, do share, raise that awareness. We also have a coalition of appeals led by the Arab Foundations Forum. Where they have also mentioned other Palestinian organizations who are working on the ground in Gaza. So I also want to mention that. So there are, everyone can definitely support those, on the ground working in Gaza. And hopefully we'll be able to get more aid soon into Gaza. But until then, we have to make sure that we're working with the partners on the ground with what's available.
Well, thank you very much. And we look forward to working with you. And please send us, once you've put together the new Gaza Orphan Relief Fund, please let us know about it, because we really would like to share with all of our listeners. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Dr. Aida, and good luck.
Thank you for joining us this week on Free Palestine Pod. Subscribe, like, rate, and review wherever you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter.
And be sure to come back next week for a new episode of Free Palestine Pod. Let's talk Palestine.